Poddin My Noggin, hosted by CK Sims, creating a platform to elevate, educate, and heal by creating a space where people can share their stories of struggle, triumph, and redemption. CKS Media.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Poddin My Noggin. I'm your host. As always, I never change. It's CK Sims. What does change are my wonderful guests. And today we have Laura Breton. She is an author. She is a public speaker, and she's phenomenal. Welcome to the show, Laura.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
Oh, the pleasure is mine. Thank you so much for being here. So we're going to get right into it. Is there something that you'd like to disclose to the audience?
Probably what you're referring to would be most obvious. So I'm totally blind. I was born sighted, and then I lost my sight as a teenager.
As a teenager, yes. And so you say that it's obvious, but in this moment, since I've been on the call with you, I would have to tell you that it's not obvious.
Seriously? Really?
Seriously.
Wow.
Because I think when you're virtual and there's like a camera, sometimes, people aren't always looking
directly
at the camera. So like
True.
To me, it's not resoundingly obvious. And
Okay,
if I just
yeah.
know, I would be over here guessing later, probably. Right?
I think so.
I think so when you say completely blind, so this is one of my curious questions, because I know that, and for people at home, like if you don't know, that there's varying degrees of blindness. Do you see light, or is it just darkness for you?
So I do have light perception. I have minimal light perception. So it's not light. It's very hard to put into words. It's not light like you're thinking of distinct, clear light. The best way that I can describe it is, do you remember back in the day when the TVs were real fuzzy and lose their station, there would just be like this black, gray, white, almost like blurriness?
Yeah.
That's the best way I can describe my vision.
Okay.
It's not, a lot of people think I live in like this dark hole. And they just automatically assume like, oh, your world's so dark. It's not that things look black or dark. It's not literally like you're in a cave with no light. It's just like a grayishness, a gray white. And that's where I can perceive more light, like sun up, sun down, rainy, cloudy. Like, for example, today on a rainy day, I have way less vision than on a clear, sunny day.
Okay. This makes sense to me. What I'm envisioning in my mind when you are saying this is frosted glass.
Perfect analogy. Yeah, like very, very frosted, extremely frosted.
You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm thinking. So you can potentially.
Yeah, thank you for teaching me that. Can I use that analogy? No?
Of course.
Yeah, no, that's a great way to explain it.
So
Yeah, it's like you're looking through frosted glass.
Sort of see, depending on the light in the environment, you can see shape.
Honestly, it depends on the day.
Fair? Okay, fair.
And it's not even like today, for example, I wasn't even like trying or focused. I was just like, oh, there's a shadow of my thumb. I just clearly, it wasn't my thumb as you're seeing it, but it was just a shadow, like an outline. So yeah, it just very much depends on the situation, and there's no typical or normal. Oh, in this situation, I always see shadows. It's very, very, very random. Again, this sounds crazy, but it really depends on the weather.
Mm-hmm.
And when I've been outside longer, like at the beach, by day 2 at the beach, I have much better vision. Or this has happened the past few weeks. I mean, this always happens, but just recently happened the past few weeks. If I go on a hike about 2 to 2.5 hours into the hike, I can see more shadows.
That is so interesting. So the longer your eyes are exposed to a brighter light, the more...
And it's also the ions in nature. Because I've done research on this. So the ions of the sand of the beach and the ions of the forest, of the trees and just the forest floor, they're giving off a different level of ions than just our everyday world. And so once I'm in that environment for a while, I can see more shadows.
Well, there's something to be said right there, isn't it? Like,
Yes.
and ions in my mind, I hear energy.
That I was going to say it's 100% energy. It's definitely,
Yeah.
it's all energy. Yeah.
And we say that being in nature is the best way to get center in your energy.
Yes.
So, okay, let's go back. Let's go back to Laura as a child.
So as a child, I was completely fearless. As you can tell by my accent, grew up in the deep southeast of the United States. In growing up, so I say that to say, growing up in a small southern town, it was all kids all around all the time. You rode your bikes everywhere. You had lemonade stands. Like, you knew everybody. Everybody went to church together, school together, neighborhoods together. It was just a wonderful childhood of just literally being a child.
And fearless, out and about, living life.
Yes.
All of those things.
Literally. The only time I came inside was maybe to eat. Usually that was outside on the deck of somebody's house. But literally just to go to bed. Yeah. I mean, it was outside was my world.
And so at the age of 9, after living a life of normal, essentially, yes. I guess, a normal childhood, at the age of 9, something happened in your life, which you referenced already, but do you care to share with us what that was?
Yeah. So the way that it all started is my mom, being a teacher, noticed she's holding books a little bit closer to her face than normal at night. Or in the den, she's sitting in the chair closest to the TV, not just anywhere in the den. There were such subtle changes. I didn't notice I was even doing it. I was not aware, but she as a teacher was very aware. So she just made an appointment that summer for a pediatric ophthalmologist, a regular routine yearly check, no big deal. My mom and I go into the appointment and they dilate your eyes and you read the letters on the chart. All that was pretty normal. I could do all that. And then once the doctor came in and looked at my eyes and looked into my retinas, that's when he just looked at my mom and said, there's a major problem going on and I need to get you to a specialist now and figure out what's going on. My mom, not realizing the severity, said, oh, no problem. I'm getting ready to start a new school year. She's getting ready to go back to school. We'll do it during December break, winter break, no big deal. And I still can hear him and remember him saying, no, you don't understand. This is severe and something major is going on. We need to address it now. You're not going to lunch. You're going straight to a retina specialist. I'll get them to work you in. Go straight there. So that's what started a summer of doctor's appointments trying to figure out what's going on. And still to this day, 30 years later, it does not have a formal diagnosis. It's an extremely rare retinal disease where my retinas started deteriorating in a perfectly healthy 9-year-old, which normally should happen in 85-year-old. So I've done genetic testing and we've done the family tree. It's definitely not hereditary. So still in the process of doing all the testing as technology advances. My reaction as a 9-year-old was, hey, can we go to Starbucks and get a peach tea? I couldn't I'm saying it wrong. I could cognitively understand what they were saying. I didn't emotionally, mentally grasp what that meant. Mm-hmm. Because in my 9-year-old brain, in my 9-year-old brain, I could see then. So wasn't I going to see always? So it didn't hit me then, like obviously it did my parents. It wasn't until I was a teenager and started losing a significant amount of sight that's when the emotional reality hit me.
Wow. So I'm processing, right? So like you were how old when the vision really started to slip away in chunks?
So the major chunks was like 15 to 18. Those, started at the very end of middle school and through high school.
Like in your adolescent prime,
Yes,
essentially,
yes, yes,
right? A
yes.
very important part of every person's life,
Right.
male
Development.
or female,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Development. You're in high school now, like that sort of thing. Things are happening, dating, hormones, all of that.
Hormones.
Yeah, all of that stuff is happening, and then
Yeah.
you're starting to realize now that you're losing your sight.
Yeah. It's completely changing.
I just can't imagine the mental sort of anguish that.
That's the perfect word. Words cannot convey, you said it perfectly, the mental anguish.
Like, what was that like?
Truly, it was anguish that I can't even put into words. The anxiety, the when I say panic attack, I mean constant panic attack. I don't mean like one here and there. It was just like a constant state of panic, a deep, deep, deep depression, and all that came from just the grief process because
Mm-hmm.
I was constantly grieving what I was actively losing. And what made the grief process so difficult, I knew how easy it was with sight. So because I had that memory of, wow, this task only used to take me 5 minutes and now it takes me an hour and I need help doing it. As a teenager, when you're supposed to be gaining independence, it, yeah, it cannot be put into words, just the level of anguish.
Yeah, like my brain's trying to run the process, right? And like, so you called out the independence thing. You're blooming, you're blossoming. We've mentioned hormones already, but like we'll go back there because like, hey, hormones at that age is massive. All of the normal things that you thought you were going to be able to do, if you
Yes,
will,
right.
it's not just grieving the sight, it's grieving the life,
A
it's
hundred
grieving
percent.
the hopes and dreams that you
Right.
had that don't quite fit into your new narrative. That's heavy.
That's heavy.
Like,
Because again, grieving, I'm not going to get my driver's license.
yeah.
Right. So, yeah, you said it. That's right. It wasn't just grieving the vision. It was grieving a lot of it was grieving the independence that just I wasn't having that normal development of independence.
So what were at say 15 before this really started to like take it away? What were some of your aspirations? Like what did you want to be? What did you want to do that
So,
changed?
so I wanted to go into psychology. I didn't have an exact area or this is 100% what I want to do. I just knew that I wanted to study psychology and work somewhere in that field because was so just naturally as a child. I mean, way before the diagnosis and after diagnosis and everywhere in between, people would just come to me and just tell me their life story. There was always just this trust factor there. And it felt natural. It didn't feel like something I had to work at or figure out how to do. It just felt like I knew how to do it. So that part didn't change. Obviously, it completely changed for the reason I eventually went into psychology was completely different because of my life experience. But I always had that passion to do something in the field of psychology just because that was just my natural personality.
I love
But as
this.
far what also what I think you're referring to is just as that teenager, my hobbies, my love was dancing. I've been dancing since I could literally walk since I was 2. I think I started dance class. And so not having that, for several hours, multiple times a week, having to give that up, having to
Mm.
let that go, that was so incredibly difficult. That was really, really, really hard. So yeah, I'm not sure if you're referring to, but what really happened was the passions, the hobby, as well as the professional goals.
Well, it would change or modify absolutely everything.
Right.
And then I could also imagine a period of like, even if you were thinking, and this is me trying to be in that space, if I was thinking I was going to go in psychology, I probably would have gone through, and who knows if I would have ever come out of it, a period of where, like, what's the point? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, almost like it's going to be too hard or.
So for me, in the beginning of those high school years, it wasn't psychology's going to be too hard. It was life's going to be too hard.
Mm-hmm.
It was, I mean, that was my prayer. I did vision boards, manifest. I mean, I did everything under the sun, literally, just in sheer, just like, I don't have the strength. This, like, life is too hard. Adapting every area of life, every part of life, that's just too much. So yeah, it was just more life in general than specifically psychology.
It's my brain is moving weirdly, like, because it's like it's trying to grasp what reality would have looked like for you, right? Really, truth.
Yeah.
I think maybe we can just settle on the fact that it was extraordinarily and excruciatingly hard.
Yes.
Right.
100%.
And you finished high school?
Yes.
But with the dependence of family support groups, probably, did you have AIDS? I'm curious also, was this in the 90s?
So yes, this was late 90s or because I graduated in 2003, so late 90s, early 2000s. So technology was not where it is. It was still great, but it was not where it was today. Yeah, the gift of why the anxiety, the depression, the grief, why it honestly didn't just shut me down and just overwhelm me and stop me was because of the support, namely the friends, the community. So yeah, in high school, I was able to graduate on time, with accommodations made, things like learning Braille, all my books being in PDF format instead of print format. So that's what I mean by accommodations being made. And that was the gift of support. And that's the empowerment I want to share, is that when I was so deep in anxiety and depression and screaming, I can't do this. This is too much. This is too hard. It was those people around me who just continued to believe in me. And it wasn't through their words. No one came to me and said, "Oh, Laura, we believe in you," right? Because I would have told them to be quiet, like, "You're weird," right? Like, "You believe in me? Seriously? Wow." I don't believe in myself. But it was through their actions. And what I mean by how they put that into actions, it was my parents who taught me how to live in the present rather than being overwhelmed by the future. So when I was so overwhelmed with the fear, they would say to me every day, "Laura, all we have to do is today. Get up, get to school on time. That's success for the day. Right now, we need to take it day by day by day, moment by moment by moment." And so that taught me to live in the present rather than being overwhelmed with the future.
That's a lesson to everybody should learn.
Yes.
Because we are often too fixated on the future, things that we can't control technically.
Can't control.
And so you finished your grade school. You went through, I have a question. You don't have to answer if you don't feel comfortable, but during that, you said you were in a constant panic attack. I've had panic attacks. So to have that be constant, I like, did you?
It was exhausting.
I'm exhausted thinking about it because I'm like, because I know what your heart feels like. Your body is so like tense and holding everything. And did you have, through your mental health struggles, SI at all?
So I did everything at one time. I immediately started doing therapy and working. Is that where you're going? I didn't understand that last word. Do you mean the mental support?
Suicidal ideation.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't understand. No, okay. Yeah, absolutely. Because it was, what's the point? Like, I don't have the strength. That was there were two main things. One, I don't have the strength. And the other big thing was, do I still matter? Like, am I still like worthy? Do I still have purpose in the world? So absolutely 100%.
That is a really sort of, I hadn't thought of that, or I don't know if I would have thought about that. Questioning your value as a human
That's
being.
100% what I did. Yeah. Because to put it in perspective, remember the timeline. My friends, it feels like to me, are increasing in their value. They can drive, they're getting their first jobs. You know, to me, their value is increasing when mine feels like it's being totally taken away. So that was a huge question I asked myself. Do I even have purpose? Is there even any value left?
That's a hard question, especially at that age too, where you
Right.
don't really have time and experience to measure that against.
I was going to say to compare it to, right? Like past
Yeah,
experience.
and oh my gosh, so you made it through with the support of your circle.
Yes.
These people who believed in you, who showed up in action, which is where it always counts. Because you can
Right.
say you tell someone that you believe in them a gazillion times, but if your actions don't actually show
Right. Don't
you
actually
believe
support
in
it.
it,
Right.
then it doesn't add up to anything. That is a quite the start of a life,
Yes.
Miss Laura, Mrs.
Yeah.
Laura. I don't know if you're Miss or Miss, but I'm gonna miss everybody. We're gonna take a very quick break, and we'll be right back.
Partner today with CK Sims and Poddin My Noggin to get in front of an audience that cares. You will be supporting mental health stories, tales of resilience, and uplifting content, aligning your brand with bringing goodness, authenticity, and kindness front and center. This spot could be yours. Do you have a story of struggle and resilience? One that you want to share with others and possibly help someone through their own struggles? Find the link in the show description and fill out the guest form today.
Welcome back, everybody. Before the break, we have been talking to the fabulous Laura Breton. I'm saying it fast because I want to say it correctly.
Sure.
She is a author, a public speaker, and you said something in the last segment about when you were a child you were so fearless. I'm getting fearless vibes from you right now. Maybe it did who you are truly stuck with you throughout the whole journey.
I agree. And the way I realized that fearless child that was climbing trees and riding bikes, and my brother's 5 years older. So I was trying to always keep up with the boys 5 years older than me, right? The girls and boys. So I was never, I was with people my age, but then always trying to keep up with the older kids. So doing more dangerous things than I should have at my age. And what I realized is I had to channel that fearless spirit into the mental survival,
Yes.
into the
How did you do
mental,
that?
emotional survival of the day.
And how did you do it? How do you actually make that happen?
So if first the platform, the foundation came from, I want to make that very clear. It came from that support, like you said, that circle around me. But within myself, it came from just realizing I've had this foundation of sport. Now it's up to me. What am I going to choose? Am I going to choose to keep going, or am I going to choose to just give up and not do this life? And so for me, it was just making that courageous decision. I choose to believe my value. I choose to believe that I can. And it was not a one-time statement and then the end all be all and I live happily ever after and it's all perfect. Rather, it's a daily choice and a daily decision that I choose to have courage in spite of the fear. Like, yes, fast forward to now, yes, I'm adapted. Yes, I'm adjusted. Yes, the major trauma of learning to live life is over, but I'm still a person without sight in a fully sighted world.
Mm-hmm.
So every day I have to choose courage, even when there's fear, even when there's anxiety.
And I think that this is something that people don't grasp sometimes, is that I think, and I'm going to say we, although I've done the work and I do look at people very differently than I did, say, 10, 15 years ago, right? but I think we tend to generalize and just bucket and make assumptions about people.
Yes.
You're blind. You must be used to it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
I
define
completely,
that,
yeah.
right? Define that. Like, define being used to it. Okay, yes, I'm used to having to wake up every day without sight, but there's still so much that goes behind
100%.
getting there. And
Perfectly said.
I would love the world to stop for a second and say, what did it take for Laura to show up here today? Or what did it take for Curtis to show up here today?
Right.
And it would take a second to just acknowledge. You didn't even have to unpack it. You can just acknowledge it as a first baby step to realize that people are so much more than what you get at face value.
Right.
So you, 15 to 18, you become completely blind.
Mm-hmm.
You go through a very troublesome mental period. You have a great support system in place who are showing up for you. What was a pivotal point? Like, do you remember a pivotal point where what you just said essentially is that you have to have the courage, channel that fearlessness. Did something happen?
Yes, there was a very pivotal moment. So, in between, I graduated from high school a semester early. So, I would have time. I had that spring semester to go and get my first guide dog before I started college. And so we were there for a month. So, I got to campus, and you receive your guide dog on like day 3 of being on campus. And it was day 3. It was a Wednesday afternoon. We had just had lunch. There was about 20 of us. They sent us all back to our individual dorm rooms. I was sitting on my bed waiting for them to bring in and give me and introduce me to my first guide dog. I was in San Francisco, California, 3,000 miles away from home. I'm 18, Southern girl, and for me, it might as well have been a different country, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, just a totally different culture, environment, no family, friends there. And it was just sitting on that bed. I just very vividly remember, all right, Laura, now's the time. Like, you going to receive this dog and choose to literally move forward or not? Like, here you are. So that was a very pivotal moment where I said, all right, I'll try it. And again, I want to make it very clear, it wasn't a pivotal moment of, okay, I decided to move forward because I knew everything's going to be perfect and easy and smooth.
Yeah.
I'm going to get this guide dog and start college and life's just going to be normal and happy and easy. It wasn't like a rose-colored glasses Pollyanna type decision. It was, yeah, I know life is still going to be really, really hard every day. I choose to try it.
And that's powerful, right? If you think about it, you're committing to showing up each day
100%.
and putting your best foot forward,
Right?
regardless of what life throws at you.
Right.
So you went to college with your guide dog.
Yes.
Your first guide dog. I don't know how that all works. So you get a guide dog. Is that your guide dog now for life, or until they retire, or?
So until they retire. So I had my first guide dog about 12 years, and then I had my second dog also about 12 years, and she passed away literally about a year ago. And so I haven't gotten a third dog since then. So I've only had those 2.
Do you get to keep them? Like,
so I do, as long as they live. Typically, both of mine lived and worked right up until they were guide dogs. My first guide dog worked literally till 2 weeks before I had to put her down. And then my second guide dog worked about maybe 6 to 9 months before she started having seizures and had to be put down. So yeah, typically if they're in good health, they can work to their 10 or 12.
Wow. But that's another piece of it, right? Like, you have this creature, a dog, who is with you for all of these years, who's your warrior in the world, who keeps you safe and protects you, and then you have to say goodbye to them.
Yes.
Like, that can't be easy. Like, wow.
The death of my first guide dog, And I don't mean this like in a dramatic way. I mean it very literal. It was like grieving my vision again.
I believe it.
It was way harder than I ever expected. People told me it was going to be that way, but of course, what do we think in our head? Oh no, it is for them, but I'm gonna do better, right? Like it's just that. Oh yeah, no, I got this. I'm good. But it's true that first death of the guide dog, absolutely. Again, I can't put into words the level of grief.
Well, I can also imagine that because you got that guide dog shortly after you actually chose to
Right.
put your best foot forward, that dog was so intertwined with that decision and that life choice.
Perfectly said. Yeah. And she was connected to my healing, to my literal moving forward. Yeah. It was almost like once she died, it was kind of like, what do I do now? Like I either had vision or I had her, which, I didn't know life without sight, without her. And so that's why the grief was so intense.
That's crazy. And just heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's heartbreaking. So you went to college.
Yes.
What did you do? Psychology.
Yes. So I went to Arizona State and I majored in psychology.
Okay. And then at what point did you decide I am more than just enough? I have something to share with this world.
That's a great question. It was through that college experience. And what it taught me was I am more and have something to give this world because I came comfortable in my own skin. My value, I started to realize, oh yeah, I do have value and gifts and passion and purpose to give this world. And all that the foundation was regaining my confidence, regaining that I am who I am, being comfortable in my own skin.
And I can see behind you, there's a number of, I think, degrees.
Yeah, so I can only take credit for two. Two of them are mine, and two of them are not mine. Two of them are my fiance. So, but I'll just take all the credit.
There you go, 4 degrees, y'all.
Yeah, we don't have to give him credit. We don't have to give him credit, right? So yeah, so from college, I went. The other degree that you're seeing is a master's degree of divinity, and I went to Princeton to get a master of divinity very specifically because of my life experience. So as I'm in college, studying psychology, learning about it, but also going through the personal experience of working through my own mental healing, I realized that healing is not just mental. It's not just physical. It's not just spiritual. It's the mind, body, spirit completely connected. So that's why I wanted to go and on an academic level, study theology, study psychology combined with theology so I could learn how to connect those two. Because in my own personal experience and working with others, it was impossible to separate.
It usually is.
Right.
It usually is, really. If you think about it, if anybody were to stop and actually think about it, like the three are so uniquely tethered.
Right.
In so many different ways that it's so I love this. I love that you went and got your master's in divinity, that you're working in that field, and you're a bona fide public speaker.
Yes. So I travel all over the country speaking to organizations, to associations, and what I focus on is how do we navigate through change? When we have experienced a major change, how do we move forward? And obviously that comes from my own experience of I had to figure out how to navigate through change and keep going, and not just a one-time change, but change that's continual, change that's really constant, right? So that's what I speak on to help people and organizations figure out how do we navigate through the change, not to be just stuck and shut down and overwhelmed by the change.
And so for people at home, what would you say if you were to pick one of your top takeaways of how to navigate change and not remain stuck, what would that be?
Oh, can I pick two?
You can pick two. You can pick as many as you wish.
Because
I was trying to be like,
my two main takeaways when I'm working with people individually and then also at a group level. The first one is cultivating a life of grit. And the way that I define grit is I love Dr. Angela Duckworth's work. And grit is not just pushing forward, getting over it, moving on. Grit is acknowledging that long-term goal. So for me, it was living life without sight in a sighted world. And then what I help people understand is how do you break that down into manageable goals? So my main takeaway is the grit would be acknowledge the difficulty you're experiencing today and then choose to move forward even in the face of that difficulty. That's takeaway number one. Number two is the gratitude. So cultivating a life of gratitude regardless of the situation. And the way I define gratitude is being grateful and appreciative for what we have that helps us navigate through the change. So I'm not teaching people, oh, just be grateful for everything that happened in your life and be grateful for the difficulty. It's rather saying, notice what empowered you through the difficulty and be grateful for that. So the action item that I give people both individually and on a speaking level is start gratitude by thinking of 3 things each day that you're grateful for specifically from that day.
I love this. And to further that, the audience, if you've watched my podcast or been following along, you would know that gratitude is the only reason I am here today. Do you know that? And it's one of the most powerful things that we have as humans have access to, free, unlimited access to.
Yes.
And so basically grit and gratitude. So that's just 2 G's.
Yes.
Right? Like I'll take 2 G's any day, right? Like
yes.
Who doesn't want an extra 2 G's in their pocket? Come on. This is amazing. So I love that. So grit and gratitude. Grit feels like, I love your explanation of it because it resonates with me because I think of it, grit as being like mindful resilience.
100%. Whoa, can I use that? Brilliant.
Yes,
See, I talk about mindfulness and I talk about resilience, but I don't put them together in the same phrase.
Well, because like I think we in my work in the past, and I have a background in clinical psychology, but I never actually worked in the field because I would for reasons I just feel too hard. I feel too much. So I've actually been able to take that and use it in transformational work for businesses and organizations and in leadership. And I always tell people that when you are facing something hard, reach into your resiliency toolkit. We all got them. Mm-hmm. Whether you think you have it or not, you have a toolkit. Think about a time previously in your life where you were facing a difficult situation. How did you get through that? And how can you apply that same technique today? What's this? Right? It's just that we have it. Grit.
We have it. We just forget we have it.
We totally forget. Not even just forget. We don't even realize that.
That is true. We don't realize we've been resilient in the past. Right?
Exactly. And you have been extraordinarily resilient in your life. Choosing to, not just once, y'all, to say, I'm going to do this. And then everything is, roses and daffodils. It's choosing every day to get up, show up, and be you. But on top of that, like, not only are you out there in the world as a profession helping people, but you're writing, you're public speaking, like it's like where you once had a well that seemed void of purpose.
Yes.
You now have a well overflowing of purpose.
Yes. Yes.
Like that's beautiful and incredible. And I love that, honestly, it's just talking to you is so refreshing and enlightening because I have watched, right? Since you mentioned it, you think it's obvious. And I've watched you throughout this entire interview and it is not obvious Like, I honestly wouldn't know for sure if it wasn't clearly told to me and we were
Defined.
just having a conversation. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just don't know
Yeah.
how to explain that. It's not obvious to me. You're very natural in your skin, like in your body, your movements, they feel very organic. Everything just feels so relaxed and wonderful.
And I get that feedback all the time. And I think it 100% goes to because I had sight for so long.
Mm-hmm.
I know. All right, how do I explain this? Again, this is hard to put in words. It's like I know kind of those human normal interactions.
Fair.
I have because I have that. And so it's almost like I just instantly tap into that energy when I'm talking to people, whether that's, you know, over, technology, Zoom, whatever, or face to face. It's like I instantly just kind of click into that. I don't want to call it mode, but just that my mind just goes that like I automatically do it. And I'm not even like thinking about it. And what's really, really funny and totally freaks people out is when we're, in person and I look somebody in the eye.
Well, because I think naturally, this is the thing, right? I think naturally you follow sound.
Right.
So you know where to look if you're
Right.
hearing
Right.
sound.
100%. 100%. Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, that really freaks people out. Like, oh my God, you just looked me in the eye.
And I'd be like, what a gift that was.
Yeah, like, oh, okay.
So we've talked about some serious stuff, but I think I want to take a few minutes and talk to Laura about some. At one point, you mentioned, I think before we started filming today, that you have a lot of a bank essentially of interesting questions you've been asked throughout
Yeah.
the years. Do you feel comfortable with sharing that some of them with us?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's questions that it's so all over the place. The one that immediately comes to mind, someone asked me one time, well, how do you know when you walk in your house that you don't have mud on your feet?
Oh my God.
Literally,
Okay.
that was their one question to me. I was like, well, I'm not like, yes, I have family that live on a farm in like a lot of country land, but unless I'm like forwarding with them, I'm not really purposefully trucking through mud, right? Every day, like stomping through mud. So I'm like, well, I have a doormat. I got to brush my feet off. And if I think they're muddy, I can reach down and feel the mud, or I just take my shoes off and walk in my house. That was an interesting question.
It's a very interesting question, actually, and it's interesting. I think too because it really just goes to say like the things that go through people's minds, right?
I totally
And what's
agree.
important to someone may not be important to someone else. Like
Right.
that person was clearly concerned with dirty floors.
Dirty floors. Yeah, clearly. And yet another one that similar to that. Well, I was staying at a friend's house, and I was out of town speaking at an event, and they happened to live in that city, and so I was staying with them, and they had a pool, and so someone was very concerned that I was going to fall in the pool and not survive.
Okay. Okay. All right. That's one of those things, right? Like you want to be eye
Compassionate.
rolling at that situation. Like I think I want to be a little eye rolling at the situation, but also
Right.
when I stop and I'm like, but it's coming from a place of like compassion.
I was going to say, it's coming from a place of love, compassion, concern, right? Like it's not meant to be evil.
No, but it just sounds so far out there, if you will.
Yes.
Right?
And then another one that this is not really like a question people give me, but I can't tell you how many times I've had this happen in my life. Like I promise this happens to me a lot. When I go to a restaurant and the waitress or waiter realizes that I'm blind, I get more food.
That's a perk. If you like more food, that's a perk, I suppose.
A true story. Like I mean, it can be a Subway, it can be a sandwich shop, it can be any type of restaurant. It doesn't matter. I will get more food. No lie.
Wow. Also interesting. And do you have you hypothesized what you believe that could be?
Again, I think it circles back to the compassion. I,
Mm.
I think it's almost like they feel sorry for me, and so they feel like they can help me by giving me more food. I don't. I'm not quite sure.
And so now let me ask you a question because I do feel comfortable with you to be able to ask this question.
Oh
Does
yes,
some of
anything.
that ever get under your skin?
100%. So great question, and I'm glad you brought this up because it's a lot about the mental healing. In the beginning, in the early years, in those high school, college, even grad school years, is like I got defensive. Not obviously with the person giving me more food or asking me the interesting questions, but I got defensive in my head. Like, why do you
Mm.
think I'd walk in my house with mud? Or why do you think I need more food on my plate? Right? Like, literally, no joke. One time I got a whole basket of hush puppies.
I don't know what that is, but I'm going to assume it's something like a
Okay,
decadent.
it's so in the South, we have seafood restaurants have hush puppies, and basically it's like cornbread. It's like, think about cornbread in like a round, almost like the a dime size, $half size.
So, but
So I got a whole entire basket, and normally you would get like two hush puppies on a plate, and I got about 35 of them.
see, like, okay, my mind is going through the logic thing, and I'm like, but like, I get wanting to be kind, like, sort of. I try to treat anybody differently than I would anybody else, with reason, of
Right,
course. I'm
right,
not going to walk
right,
up and hold my hand out to
right,
shake a
right,
blind person's
right,
hand
right,
or high five someone. Like, you know, what I mean, I hip bump them or something. I don't
right.
know, but um, like, I just wonder, like, with all of these instances of where they're giving you more food, do they think that blind people are like calorie deficit
No,
or
I think they're helping me.
fair?
Because one time I was going to a speaking engagement and my dad was with me. This was early on. And I went to the bathroom and we were actually in a Subway and the lady was, and we'd already ordered. And so the lady was making both of our subs at the time. And when I walked away and was in the bathroom, she told my dad, I'm going to give her more on her sandwich because I just like helping people like that.
Okay,
So I think it's
fair.
like a help thing, I guess. I don't know. That's just what she said. So I don't know.
Well, I think
But
that some people would look and say, like, I know that I have a piece of it right now. Like, there's a sense of pride for you,
yeah,
and it's like a very much a you go girl type
yeah,
situation happening for me, and I'm mindful of it because I'm like, you know, for me, I think I really do focus on the fact that you were dealt a set of cards that just weren't great.
right,
And it was what you did with that set of cards
right,
that lent like to you being able to lay out a full house later in your
right.
life. So I don't know. That is a weird and complexing situation. So, but it did irritate you for.
So yeah, so it did irritate me at first because I got defensive. Like, I don't need more food, almost like real defensive, angry. Now I can just laugh it off and it doesn't get under my skin.
Well, and I also noticed that your default was compassion, like to give kindness
A
to the
hundred
act,
percent. 100%.
right? And that takes
Because I,
practice.
yeah, because I very much know it's not coming from like an evil place, like an evil
Mhm.
energy, a bad energy. Yeah, I know their intent is to be compassion. So now I'm just able to laugh it off. And yeah, and in fact, I forgot about this. It happened so much. Literally today, just 6 hours ago, it happened to my fiance and I. Like, he didn't get as much food as I did at lunch. It was hilarious. And he looked at my sandwich. He was like, "Give me some of that. You got more than I did."
That is
So
so
it
interesting.
really happens all the
But
time.
that is a skill, though. to be able to move through life and come back around to be able to default to what you believe the person's intent was.
The intent, not the follow through, the direct action.
Yes, it's so that's a beautiful skill to have. Everyone should have this. Like, we can learn from Laura, absolutely. And now, if I were to ask you on closing out, there's two things I want to ask you. What's your biggest pet peeve?
My biggest pet peeve is, and again, this is coming from my life experience, I get really frustrated when someone is not putting forth the effort and just like, oh, well, this is, like you said, like, oh, this is the cards I dealt. Life is just terrible and woe is me. I get extremely frustrated.
You wouldn't have liked me 15 years ago. Because that is exactly who I was.
I get so frustrated and aggravated. Just like, come on, move on.
Do you know what, though? This is how I feel. I don't even know if that classifies as a pet peeve, really.
Okay.
When you look at your situation that you've lived through, I think that that's just normal.
It's like, I've had to do it. You can do it. That's my exact reaction. Like, I've done it. You can certainly do it.
Like, I feel like that's so normal to
Okay,
have
good.
that thought. Like, what you have achieved and what you've been through in life is just phenomenal. And how you've come out being this lovely human being I get to speak to on this podcast right now. Like, those were all choices. And they weren't easy ones to make.
Right.
And as you said, it was a choice every day.
Right.
And I'm sure it was a choice that you had to make multiple times.
Yes.
Every day.
Yeah.
So,
100%.
yeah. So, if there was one thing that you would like the world to know about approaching you as a human being, what would it be?
Respect. Just know that I'm a human, just like the person that I'm interacting with is a human.
I love this. Yes, I love
it. And the reason I say that is what we were just kind of laughing about earlier. People make so many assumptions about me. I can hear better. I love music. I'm a great singer. Like, people make all these assumptions because I'm in a category of blind people. And I don't mean that a category of blind people like a bad thing. It's just people put all of us in one category. Well, Stevie Wonder was a good singer, so all blind people are good singers.
Yes. Just very similar to like the all black people can dance type thing.
100%. 100%.
Or white man can't jump or something like that.
100%. That's exactly what I mean. Yes.
Yeah, that's such a generalization. We should not make assumptions on anyone, actually.
Right.
Maybe the only assumption that should be slightly okay is that you believe that they may be a good person, but always proceed with caution.
Right.
Right? And now, last but not least, if there was something you could leave, aside from the grit and gratitude, which are so solid and such a great foundation, if there was something that you could leave the audience with as a parting Laura wisdom, what would it be?
In the midst of change, in the midst of adversity, trust that you are enough.
Oh, wow. I love this. And it's almost like you didn't even have to think about that one. That was just like right there. Ready to go.
Because that's what I say that because that's what I needed most.
Trust in the midst of change, in the midst of adversity, trust that you are enough.
And the reason I say that is because in my own experience and so many people that I work with, I see how when we have change and difficulty, rightly so, all our energy goes towards that, towards difficulty, towards adversity. So we forget that we're still worthy. We forget that we're enough because we get so channeled on just the adversity. We forget the adversity is all of us. And so we lose perspective that I'm still enough. I'm still a human being. So that's why I say that.
It's beautiful. You are extraordinarily wise, well-spoken, and it makes complete sense to me that you're a public speaker because you're captivating with your words. Now, you do coaching, speaking, writing. You have a site. It is Laura Bratton, BRATTON.com. I will link it in the description. People can get in touch with you. Now, do you have some upcoming speaking events that people can like potentially attend?
So I have upcoming speaking events. I can't talk. Upcoming speaking events, but they're all unfortunately specific organizations, corporations, associations. So it's just for those people, not just opened to the public, unfortunately.
No, that's fine. Have you thought about doing like a virtual sort of conference?
Yes, I definitely have. I would absolutely love to do that.
And I feel like your story is totally more than worthy of a TED Talk. Just
Yes.
FYI.
So I did a TED Talk a year ago, last fall. So
No,
that's
I have to go watch. I have to go watch the TED
so
Talk.
that was on the homepage of my website.
Oh, I'm still linking that in the description of this podcast
Yes.
as well.
Perfect.
So I totally have to watch that because I'm enamored with you now. And your book is
Harnessing
called
Courage.
Harnessing Courage, which you really speak this, don't you?
Yes.
That's your brand. I can feel it.
Yes. And the reason it was very specific, harnessing courage, that word was very specific because the harness is the leather strap that goes around the guide dog. And then the person who's blind holds the handle of the harness. So just out of respect and gratitude for my two guide dogs, that's why I titled it Harnessing Courage.
Harnessing Courage, but it's so a multi-meaning.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely
like there's
is.
so many meanings that
Yes.
go. It's such a beautiful name.
Yes.
Well, and what's next? What's next for you besides your speaking arrangements? You have a fiance, so there's probably a marriage
Yes.
ceremony
You know what?
coming up.
3 weeks. 3 weeks.
Oh my
Yes.
goodness! Well,
Yes.
happy.
So very, very soon. Very soon. So
love
yeah,
it.
just to grow, absolutely to just continue growing in the speaking and the coaching because that is my deep, deep passion. I love it. I'm so passionate about empowering others just as I was empowered.
Well, I believe that you have something about you that people will want to continue to see and or hear and want to experience because there is a light about you. And I think people who are watching at home are going to see it. And I think you need to keep just being you.
Thank you.
You're just great. You're just swell.
I love that
Yeah.
mindfulness and resilience. I'm going to remember that.
Yes.
Because that is so true.
This is pretty up there with one of my utmost favorite podcasts thus far, just as an FYI. And I don't mind saying it publicly, and I've had some really great ones. There's something about you that is just phenomenal. And I can feel
thank you
your
for the
energy.
opportunity because you reflected back perfectly. That mindful resilience was the frosted glass. You said it perfectly.
Well, I just listen, right? And I like to always come back and say, just clarify with people. You've been wonderful. Thank you. I'm going to keep an eye out. I want to read Harnessing Courage, but now I absolutely, without a question, want to watch this TED Talk. So that might be what I do right now after we're finished and I go and pick up and snuggle with my dog. Everybody at home, I'm going to link laurabratton.com in the description. Also the TED Talk, which you can find the TED Talk on the website, but I'm going to link them both just in case. Get out there and get a copy of the book, Harnessing Courage. And if you're interested, speak more with Laura by booking her through her website. And then if anybody's watching and you have an organization or a stage that you need a very talented public speaker to come speak to your people, reach out to Laura as well. Until next time, everybody, thank you so much, Laura, for being a guest on the show. I appreciate it more than you know. And everyone at home, until next time, get out there and live your wildest dreams.
For media and sponsorship inquiries, email info@cksims.com or visit cksims.com and fill out the contact form. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. A new episode airs every Saturday. CKS Media.